By 5:30 every morning, my world already smelled like bleach, rust, and other people's mess. My name is Noah Blake, and I'm the guy they call when the toilets at the Meridian Grand Hotel won't stop vomiting luxury into the carpet. It's not glamorous. It's not pretty, but it pays the rent most months. That morning started like any other. Me on my knees in a penthouse bathroom, elbow deep in a sink some rich idiot had tried to wash his cigar ash and gold bracelet down. I was muttering under my breath, wrench in one hand, flashlight in the other, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it. I wish I had. Working late again tonight. VIP guest requested me personally. Don't wait up. Lila, my wife. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of shared takeout boxes. Shared debts. Shared dreams that never quite fit. Lila worked housekeeping at the same hotel. We met in a service corridor. Both of us covered in dust and sweat, laughing about a guest who'd complained their bottled water was too wet. Back then, she used to say she loved the way I smelled like work and metal and real life. Lately, she smelled like someone else's cologne. I stared at the message longer than I needed to. The words requested me personally sat there like acid. Someone hammered on the bathroom door. Hey, maintenance. A voice slurred. That sink gonna explode or what? I swallowed whatever answer I really wanted to give and went back to my job. The hallway outside the room was quiet and overdecorated. Marble floors, fake plants, paintings worth more than my car. I was loading my tools back onto my cart when I heard the squeak of another cart rolling toward me. Marco Alvarez, my partner in maintenance and the only reason I wasn't completely insane yet, rounded the corner. Geez, Noah, he said, eyeing my face. You look like someone spat in your coffee and stirred it with a plunger. Just another day in paradise, I said, forcing a smile. Marco parked his cart beside mine, leaned on the handle and studied me. That the my wife texted me again face or the guest put a sock in the toilet face? The first one. Ah, his grin faded. Still doing those late shifts? Yeah, apparently, the VIP guests can't live without her fluffing their pillows. He hesitated, then lowered his voice. You, heard what they were saying in the staff lounge? I felt my stomach tighten. What now? Carla from housekeeping was talking. Said there's some big spender on the top floor who keeps requesting Lila. Room service. Turn down. Whatever. He paused. And not just for cleaning. Cold settled into my chest like ice filling a crack. What do you mean, not just for cleaning? I asked. Marco shrugged. Uncomfortable. You know how people talk, man. I'm not saying it's true. I just figured you should know what's being whispered. Hotel gossip spreads faster than mold in a damp wall. I'd been hearing the laughter die when I walked into the break room. The side glances. The way conversations slid away from Lila whenever I was near. I hadn't wanted to connect the dots. Now the dots were tracing themselves. That night, when I pushed open the door to our small apartment, the first thing I noticed was the music. Soft, sexy, not the kind of playlist you put on after a double shift of scrubbing rich people's bathtubs. Babe, Lila called from the bathroom. That you? Yeah, I replied, toeing off my worn-out boots. Something sparkled on the kitchen counter and caught my eye. A bottle of champagne. Not the cheap stuff either. I walked closer. Lauron and Seal, Reserve Brut. I didn't know much about fancy brands, but I knew this one didn't belong in our kitchen next to the generic instant coffee. Where we got that from, I thought. Lila stepped out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel that didn't belong to us. It was too plush, too white, embroidered with a delicate silver pattern. The Meridian's logo. Her hair was damp, her skin flushed, her eyeliner perfect. She smiled like nothing in the world was wrong. Hey, handsome, she said, crossing the room to kiss my cheek. Rough day. Same as always. My eyes flicked to the bottle. What's with the celebration? Oh, that. She glanced at it like she'd forgotten it was there. Guest left it behind. They had a whole stash. Housekeeping was tossing it out, so I grabbed one. Perks of cleaning up after people with too much money. There was no dust on the bottle. No lipstick smudge on the rim. No sign it had ever been opened. Must be nice, I said slowly, forgetting about a bottle that probably costs more than our rent. She laughed, a little too quick. You Googling wine prices now? I Google things I can't afford. It's a hobby. She moved closer, pressing her body against mine. Well, tonight you don't have to afford it. Come on. Let's drink like the rich and pretend we don't have bills for a few hours. We popped the cork. Bubbles spilled over her fingers and onto the counter. She licked them off with a grin, and for a moment, it felt like the old days. We drank. We kissed. We ended up in bed. And the whole time, there was this scent clinging to her. Expensive cologne. Not mine. Not any I'd ever worn. It burned in the back of my throat like guilt that wasn't mine. Over the next few days, tiny things started to shine like alarm lights that had always been there. I just refused to look at them. New lingerie I'd never seen before. Tags cut off, tossed casually into the laundry basket. Her phone, once abandoned on counters and nightstands, now clutched like a lifeline wherever she went. Bathroom, shower, balcony. Her sudden love for back-to-back night shifts. They pay better, she said. We need the cash. But her pay stub hadn't changed. I told myself I was paranoid, tired, overworked. Then I opened the wrong box. I was digging through the closet one Sunday afternoon, hunting for a folder with our tax papers. Our place was small and cluttered. You'd think nothing could hide in it. You'd be wrong. My fingers bumped into something wedged behind Lila's winter coats. A black Adidas shoebox, heavier than shoes, carefully tucked away. I pulled it out, sat on the edge of the bed, and lifted the lid. Felt like dropping down an elevator shaft. Inside were hotel-sized bottles of luxury shampoo and body wash still sealed in neat little rows. All branded with the Meridian's logo. Not the usual stuff housekeeping could pocket unnoticed. This was the premium line for VIP suites. There was stainless steel cutlery, monogrammed napkin rings, a delicate silver spoon engraved with the hotel crest, a small black velvet box. My hands shook as I flipped it open. A men's watch, sleek, heavy, unmistakably expensive. Not mine. Tucked underneath, a rubber-banded stack of cash. $100 bills. Not tips. Not a few days of overtime. More money than I'd seen in one place that wasn't on a bank screen. And lying on top of the money folded once. A note. For what you do. Can't wait for our next night. D. The room felt suddenly airless. My heart wasn't pounding. It was sinking, dropping through the floor and into whatever sits beneath rock bottom. Cheating was one thing. I'd always feared that quietly, in some corner of my mind. That I wasn't enough. That life had worn her down and I hadn't kept up. But this wasn't just cheating. This was theft. This was organized. This was my wife, being good at it. I swallowed hard, grabbed my phone, and started taking photos. Every item. Every bill. The note. I put everything back exactly the way I'd found it, the shoebox sliding into its hiding place like the lid closing on a coffin. My phone buzzed. Hey babe, running late again. VIP is extra needy tonight, grinning face with sweat, don't wait up. Love you. Lila. I stared at that message and felt something inside me finally stop making excuses. If she wanted to live in secrets and shadows, fine. I'm the one who fixes what's broken in this hotel. Now I was going to fix my life. Part 2 of the gossip, the photos, and the truth. I called in sick the next morning. I'd worked through food poisoning. I'd worked with a sprained wrist. I'd worked the day after my father's funeral because we couldn't afford for me not to. But today, I couldn't fix sinks for strangers while my own life rotted in the walls. Yeah, man. I'll cover for you, Marco said over the phone. You sound like hell. You okay? Not really, I said. But I'm going to be. I hung up, got dressed in clean clothes, and headed to the one person in this hotel universe who knew everyone's dirt. Carla Reyes. If gossip were a currency, Carla would have owned the building. The staff break room smelled like burnt coffee, microwave noodles, and stress. Carla was at one of the plastic tables, scrolling through her phone with one hand and shoveling in a sandwich with the other. She looked up, surprised. Noah? Aren't you supposed to be elbow deep in a jacuzzi somewhere? Called in sick, I said. Can I talk to you? Well, that sounds ominous. Her eyes lit up the way they always did when she smelled drama. She lowered her voice. Sit. Spill. I didn't dance around it. It's about Lila. Her posture shifted. The playfulness dropped. Oh, I know people have been talking, I said. I'm not stupid. I just need to hear the truth. Not whispers. Not half sentences that die when I walk into a room. My throat was tight. Is there someone? Carla looked at me for a long moment, like she was deciding whether to protect me or rip the bandage off. Noah, she said finally, softening. You really don't know, do you? Know what? About her and Damian Cross. Penthouse guest. Been here for months. Black card. Custom suits. The whole, I own the world vibe. I'd seen him. Tall, silver-streaked hair. Always talking into a sleek phone like everyone else existed only to amuse him. Carla continued, her voice dropping even lower. He requests her for everything. Room service, cleaning, extra help, late-night visits. She raised an eyebrow. And just so we're clear, we're not talking about bed turndown. My hands curled into fists on the table. How do you know? I asked, my voice flat. Because I pay attention. And because I'm not blind. She glanced around the empty room, then opened her gallery app. I wasn't trying to bust her. I was trying to protect myself. People like Damian, they leave trails. Eventually someone looks for who was near him. She turned the phone toward me. Photo after photo. Lila entering Damian's suite with a duffel bag. Lila leaving hours later, the bag obviously lighter. Lila meeting him in the underground parking lot at 1:12 a.m. Lila stepping into his room long after her normal shift ended, looking nothing like a normal housekeeper. The worst part? She looked happy. How long? I asked. Couple of months at least, Carla said. Maybe more. And it's not just, the physical stuff. Her lips twisted. There are rumors he's tied to people who move stolen goods. Jewelry, watches, designer crap. Stuff rich guests cry over on insurance forms. My head started to swim. And Lila? From what I've seen, she's the perfect inside girl. Master key. Access to rooms. Knows when guests are out. And Damien? He's the type who never gets his hands dirty if he can buy someone else's. My stomach churned. Why are you showing me this? I asked, though I already knew. Because you're one of the good ones, Carla said quietly. And you're the only person in this situation who doesn't deserve what's happening behind your back. Her words sliced through me. I got up, feeling like the floor kept tilting under my feet. Noah, she added. If you're going to do something, be careful. People like him, they don't lose gracefully. I nodded, jaw clenched, and walked out. That afternoon, I turned into something I'd never wanted to be. A man who follows his own wife. I didn't like myself for it, but I liked being lied to even less. Lila's shift technically ended at 4. I clocked in pretending I was just dropping by to check a boiler. No one questioned it. Maintenance is invisible until something breaks. I watched her from a distance as she finished making up a room on the 6th floor. My heart twisted at how normal she looked. Hair pulled back, uniform on, smiling at guests. If I didn't know better, I'd have believed it. At 4 sharp, she handed in her clipboard at the supervisor's desk. But she didn't head to the exit. Instead, she slipped into the service elevator. I waited 10 seconds, then used my master keycard to follow in another. She went up, to the penthouse level. Of course she did. I stepped out of the elevator into a hallway too quiet, too plush, all soft carpets and muted gold accents. I moved quickly to a half-open housekeeping closet across from Damien's suite and slipped inside, leaving the door just cracked enough to see. My heart hammered so hard I thought the walls could hear it. At 4:28 p.m., the penthouse door opened. Damien Cross stepped out. He looked exactly like the kind of man who thought consequences were for other people. Perfectly tailored dark suit, smooth movements, the relaxed confidence of someone who'd never once in his life had to clean anything. He knocked on his own door in a strange pattern. 3 short, 2 long, 1 short. The code. The door opened from the inside. Lila, but not in her uniform. She wore a fitted black dress that hugged every curve, a necklace I'd never seen, and a pair of earrings that probably cost more than our entire living room set. She smiled up at him, bright and sharp. Not the way she smiled at me. My chest felt like someone had reached in and crumpled it like paper. Did you get what we needed? Damien asked, his voice low but carrying across the space. Every room on your list, she said. The couple in 412 never even looked twice at their watch. Swapped it for the replica while they were at brunch. The newlyweds in 906 left half their jewelry laying on the dresser. Easy pickings. He laughed lightly. You're a natural. He handed her a sleek black briefcase. You're cut from last week, he said. You're making me proud, Lila. She flipped it open halfway, eyes widening. This much? I thought. Business is good, he interrupted. And you, my dear, are very good for business. My vision was tunneling. The world narrowed to the two of them. Lila shifted, and her gaze flicked toward the hallway. Our eyes met through the 3-inch gap in the closet door. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Her face drained of color. Her lips parted. She took 1 step forward, like denial could physically push me back into the dark. Then she slammed the door shut, the heavy click echoing down the hallway. Muffled voices erupted behind it, urgent, panicked. I didn't stay to listen. I turned and bolted for the stairwell, my breaths coming harsh and uneven. I ran all the way down to the lobby, every step pounding one word into my skull. Cheating. Stealing. Lila. By the time I stepped outside into the afternoon sun, something inside me had gone beyond pain into a frightening, icy calm. She knew I'd seen. She knew it was over. Or at least she thought it was. But this wasn't over. Not yet. My phone buzzed as I walked. We need to talk. Come home in an hour. Please don't do anything stupid. Lila. I stared at the message. Don't do anything stupid. Lady, I thought you already did. I didn't go home. I went to my sister's. My sister Alyssa opened her front door, took one look at my face, and didn't ask a single question. She just stepped aside and said, "Come in." That told me everything she saw in my eyes. Her house was quiet, the kind of quiet built from bookshelves, legal documents, and solitude. Alyssa had built her whole life on logic. She was a paralegal at a downtown law firm, and unlike me, she lived in a world where facts mattered more than feelings. Today I needed both. You look like something broke inside you, she said, handing me a cold beer. Something did, I replied, collapsing on her couch. And I don't think glue is gonna fix it. She sat on the armrest, studying me. Is this about Lila? I opened my phone and started sliding images across the screen. The shoebox, the money, the watch, the note, Carla's photos. Then I told her everything. The penthouse, the dress, the briefcase, the way Lila had looked at me like I was the secret. Alyssa listened without interrupting once. When I finally fell silent, she leaned back and ran a hand through her hair. Jesus, Noah, she muttered. This isn't an affair. This is organized theft. Potential interstate theft, if this guy has connections. What do I do? I asked. If I go to the police right now, she's done. Prison. And if his people are real, I might be done too. You document, she said immediately. Everything. No emotion. No confrontation. Just evidence. Dates. Times. Items. Faces. Locations. You need facts stacked so high they can't be knocked down. I nodded slowly. I already have a start. Then we build the rest carefully, she said. And Noah, be smart. Men like this Damien don't operate alone. That's why I'm not getting caught unprepared. She squeezed my shoulder. Just don't let hurt turn you reckless. I didn't sleep that night. Images of Lila in that black dress kept looping in my head like a broken film. The smile, the briefcase, the confidence. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the benefit she seemed to get from it. Morning came sharp and cruel. I left my sister's house with a mission instead of a heart. If Lila and Damien had built an operation inside my workplace, then they had underestimated the one person who knew every hidden corner of that building. Me. At the hotel, no one questioned why I was back so early. They never did. Maintenance men existed like shadows, useful, silent, unmemorable. Perfect cover. I climbed to the internal security office and logged into the system using my level 2 clearance code. It was meant for emergency plumbing incidents, but no one ever really tracked how often it got used. The screens lit up one by one. Hallways, elevators, side exits, storage rooms. And there she was, Lila, again and again, walking into rooms that didn't need cleaning, pushing carts that weighed too much for towels, meeting Damien in blind camera spots, slipping into service stairwells late at night. But one video made my blood freeze. The business center, 2:14 a.m. Lila and Damien standing over a table, photographing jewelry and watches, measuring them, cataloging them, selling people's lives online. Copied it all. Videos, screenshots, timestamps. Everything went onto an external drive. Not for revenge. For proof. When I finally left the security room, I wasn't shaking. I was focused. When I unlocked the apartment that evening, Lila was already there, sitting on the edge of the couch like a guilty child waiting for punishment. She still wore black. No makeup now. No power. No mystery. Just fear. Please don't yell, she said immediately. I've had nothing but panic attacks since yesterday. I set my bag down slowly. Don't lie. A tear slipped down her cheek. I didn't want this to turn into what it did. And yet you built it anyway. She flinched. It started small, Noah. Just information. Room numbers. Who looked rich enough not to notice missing things. She looked up at me. Then Damien offered me money. Real money. He said no one would get hurt. And sleeping with him? My voice was dead calm, which scared even me. Her eyes dropped. That wasn't supposed to happen. At first, I pulled out the USB drive and held it up. I've seen everything. Her hands flew to her mouth. How? I know the building better than you think, I said. And I know you better than you deserve. She dropped to her knees. I'll stop. I swear I'll stop. I don't want this life. You're my real life. Then you're going to prove it, I said, stepping back from her. She looked up slowly. How? You're going to help me end him. She froze. Noah, I'm giving you a choice, I said calmly. You help me expose him, in front of everyone. Or I walk into a police station tomorrow with a full case including your fingerprints all over it. She stared at the floor, shaking. He won't just walk away, she whispered. Neither will I replied. After a long moment, she nodded. What do you need me to do? And right there, I realized something dangerous. Control had finally come back into my hands. Over the next 3 days, she told me everything. His real name wasn't Damien Cross, it was Daniel Kovac. He wasn't just operating here. He was connected to similar hotel thefts in Chicago, Vegas, and Miami. The Meridian was just his current playground. And now, he was planning something big. There's a charity gala, Lila explained quietly one night. All the city's wealth is going to be in that ballroom, and all their valuables will be left upstairs. My eyes narrowed. When? Saturday. My jaw tightened. Saturday arrived wrapped in arrogance and champagne. From the moment I stepped into the Meridian's grand ballroom, I could feel the difference in the air. Wealth has a scent, something cold, something proud. Diamonds flashed on necks, watches glinted on wrists, laughter echoed like it belonged to another species. And somewhere upstairs, Daniel Kovac believed he owned this entire building. He believed my wife was still working for him. He believed I was nobody. That was his mistake. No one noticed me in my plain black suit. I wasn't a guest. I wasn't staff. I was just another shadow drifting along marble floors I'd walked for years. But this time I wasn't there to fix a pipe. I was there to destroy something rotten. Lila approached me near the back hallway. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were steady. "He took the bait," she whispered. "He thinks tonight is his biggest score yet." "Is he upstairs?" I asked quietly. "He just left the ballroom. Said he needed to prepare." I nodded. "Good. Let him get comfortable." She slipped the tiny microphone deeper into her hair. No wires, no obvious tech, just a whisperer against her skin. "He doesn't even suspect you," she said. "That's because he doesn't understand men like me," I replied. "We fix everything from the inside out." I watched her walk away, melting back into the crowd like a perfect actress. Only she wasn't acting for him anymore. She was playing for survival. And for me, I took the service corridor up to the private elevator. Nobody checked my badge. Nobody questioned a man who looked like he belonged to the building's spine. The penthouse doors slid open with a hushed, expensive grace. Inside, the lighting was low, golden, flattering lies clinging to every surface. There were jewels spread across the coffee table. Watches, necklaces, earrings laid out like trophies. My chest tightened as I realized how long he'd been doing this. How many lives he'd casually dipped his hands into. I sat down, waited. 10 minutes later, the door unlocked. Daniel Kovac stepped inside. And when he saw me sitting there, his expression cracked. "Where's Lila?" he demanded. "She said she'd be here." "She is," I said calmly. "Just not for you anymore." His eyes slid to the valuables around me. "You don't understand the position you're in," he said slowly. "People with your job don't usually make it into rooms like this without consequences." I almost laughed. "You're right," I replied. "But people like you usually underestimate people like me." He glanced at the door. "You going to run?" I asked. "Go ahead." I gave hotel security a little anonymous tip. "Suspicious activity, penthouse suite. They should be here any minute." Color drained from his face. "You think police scare me?" he barked. "I've paid off cops in 3 countries. I didn't call the police." I raised my phone and tapped the screen. On the TV across the room, live footage appeared. The ballroom. Hundreds of guests frozen in confusion, staring up at ceiling-mounted screens. My voice boomed from the grand speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Meridian." A hush fell over the ballroom. "My name is Noah Blake, and I've maintained this building for years. Tonight, I have something far more important than working pipes to report." Daniel lunged for the remote, kicked it away. On screen, images flashed. Stolen jewelry, hidden boxes, security footage. His face. Lila delivering items. Me discovering the box. A man staying in our penthouse under the name Damian Cross is actually Daniel Kovac, a man responsible for orchestrating luxury theft rings across multiple cities. People began touching their necklaces, their watches. Panic rippled through the room. Your valuables weren't misplaced. They were taken and replaced with carefully designed fakes. Daniel backed toward me. "Turn it off," he hissed. "We can negotiate." He is currently in Suite PH1 surrounded by stolen property. Everything he took is here. Every record, every photo, every transaction. His breathing turned ragged. "You just signed your own death certificate." "No," I said coolly. "I just revoked your power." The door suddenly slammed open. Hotel security flooded in, followed by police officers and men in dark federal suits. Hands pinned Daniel to the floor. Cuffs clicked. Shouts echoed. But I heard none of it. I was watching the ballroom feed. Watching wealthy, powerful people realize they had been fooled by someone even colder than themselves. And then, I saw Lila, standing there alone, looking up, looking broken, looking free. I turned the TV off. The room went quiet. For the first time in weeks, my mind felt still. Down in the lobby, chaos burned like wildfire. Cameras flashed. Guests screamed at managers. Security directed people to check-in counters. And in the middle of it all, Lila stood, waiting. Her eyes found me instantly. She rushed toward me but stopped halfway, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to touch me anymore. "I did exactly what you asked," she whispered. "I know. Is he?" She couldn't finish. "He's finished," I said. Relief collapsed into tears on her face. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "For everything. for betraying you, for forgetting who I was. I looked at her, the woman I loved, the woman who broke me, the woman who helped me pull the knife out. I don't know what comes next, I said honestly. All I know is the lies end here. She nodded. I'll spend my whole life proving I'm worth whatever time you give me. 6 months later, Daniel Kovac was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison in connection with multiple interstate theft operations. The Meridian completely rebuilt its security system, and I was given a new position, Chief of Facility Operations. Funny how a man becomes visible only when he saves the building from collapse. Lila entered intensive counseling. She answered every question the authorities asked. She worked not at the hotel but at a small charity center. We didn't magically become perfect again. Trust isn't a switch. It's construction work. Slow, painful, precise. Some nights we sat in silence. Some nights we cried. And some nights, we laughed again for the first time in a long time. I still walk those hallways sometimes. Still smell the bleach. Still hear the echoes of what almost destroyed me. But now, when something breaks, I know 2 things. I can fix it, and I am no longer the man who is blind to the damage.